It is Monday, January 27th, 2025. This is another offseason edition of Baseball Today. That is my man, Trevor Plouffe. I am Chris Rose, producer Dan along for the ride as well. You doing all right, brother?
I am, Chris. Had a great weekend. Very chill weekend for me. My son has been sick with the flu, so the whole family's kind of like just been inside. We've had the rain as well. Obviously, if you're in Los Angeles, you know that. So a very mellow weekend for me. Watched some football today. I know you did as well. How are you feeling, Nick? You just came off a job, hot off the set.
Yeah. I mean, truth be told, we're taping this at 9-ish Sunday night, right after we were done with my NFL show with MJD. So good. Yeah, we got our Super Bowl. By the way, I will say this.
Okay.
I really don't know Ben Verlander at all. You know, we've had some fun with him over the year about social media posts. I do agree with something I saw him post. Everybody complains about the Dodgers in this sport and what they're doing and how they're not making the season fun to watch, blah, blah, blah. The Chiefs just did something unprecedented, which is make the Super Bowl for the 5th time in the last 6 years, and that's in a sport with a hard cap. So, just saying.
We could really get into this. I've thought about that, and other leagues kind of like, well, I don't know if they celebrate dynasties. We had the Patriots dynasty. I know the group of guys I was watching the game with tonight, they were like, they didn't want to see the Chiefs win. Everybody was rooting for the Bills. So maybe it is starting to take an effect. I think more than anything, we're talking about parity and baseball and how we have it good in our sport. Not only do you have a team that's running through, your league, a chance for back-to-back Super Bowl titles, but if you don't have a good quarterback, you aren't going to win. Think about that. And that's the most popular sport in our country.
Right.
And only 10 teams realistically have a shot to win.
If that. No, you're right. I think how baseball fans would push back to that is saying, well, there's hundreds of millions of dollars disparity in payroll, and that's factually accurate. There's nothing that you could say, no matter which way you want to flip things in the baseball world. So I understand that. Like, Miami Marlins fan will come out and say, why the hell should I watch in 2025? We don't have a chance. We don't even have a chance of winning 80 games.
I don't have really a good answer for that.
I don't have it. And I think the point is that nothing's ideal. Even if you think you have the perfect system in place, the perfect system does not exist to where there's true parity, to where all 32 teams in the NFL or all 30 teams in Major League Baseball have the same exact chance, because that's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen. But that's neither here nor there for today. Instead, we will start with this. It's the reason I'm wearing a Cubs cap, because Ryan Pressly is reportedly waiving his no-trade clause after thinking about it over the weekend. He's a 10-5 guy. He is off to Chicago. In return, the Astros get a right-handed minor league pitcher. The Astros are also going to chip in, it sounds like, $5.5 million of the $14 million owed to Ryan Pressly. First of all, let's look at this from the Cubs angle. What sort of pitcher are they getting who's now in his late 30s?
Well, I mean, not only Pressly, but they brought in some absolute winners for them. But speaking of Pressly, specifically, a guy that I used to play with, I mean, he's a guy that has pitched in every situation there is to pitch in baseball, the back end of baseball games. Every type of round, he's been in all these situations. So I think he brings that to the clubhouse. I think he's a guy that has a ton of swing and miss when he needs to. Obviously, we know about the spin he has on his fastball and his curveball, but he's also going to keep the ball in the park. He's a ground ball pitcher. A strikeout and a ground ball guy, that's what you want at the back end of the pen. So I think he does. I think he's going to slot, and be their closer. Who was the guy that had last year? Porter Hodge?
They had a couple guys.
He kind of came in toward the end. And
yeah.
I think that Press will probably sit at the top of the totem pole. Everyone kind of takes one step down the ladder. But, I mean, you're strengthening your back end of your bullpen with a guy that's proven. And, again, a guy that's he's a winner. I mean, this guy has been in the Lions' den. He'll take that to your bullpen. They'll walk out there, and every single day they have a leader now that's been there, done that. And I think again, I mean, I probably speak to that more than anything on this program, is just talking about what that means, having a guy that with some answers. It's not always good to go to your coach for answers. Like, you can go to some of your teammates, and Pressly will have those. So I love this move for the Cubs. Now I'm looking at their offseason and being like, you guys have done a phenomenal job.
Yeah, I think that it's good for Chicago it's great for Ryan Presley. I never thought that he got over the whole Josh Hader signing. I really didn't, because I don't know if you remember that I thought it happened, it coincided with last year's Fan Fest. And he didn't talk to the media, which you can understand because he gets this kind of bombshell move dropped on him. And all of a sudden, he's out of a role where it's one thing if you've been kind of rickety in that role. This guy was as complete as it comes, particularly in the postseason. In the 4 years that Presley was the closer for Houston, he pitched 34 innings, had an ERA of .79, a whip under .8. He had no blown saves. He had 14 saves. Like, he was getting it done. And to have that removed, I just never felt like he got past that. I don't remember hearing a lot of interviews with him last year where he was like, hey, listen, Josh Hader's here. It's fine. I'll pitch in any role. I mean, he was a good team guy. You never heard him whine about it. But I'm just saying, when you're a dude and you're successful in sports, then all of a sudden you lose your job. I think he probably doesn't sit great with you.
I could see that, but I also know he's just not like a media guy. He's not going to be out there putting himself in front of a microphone if he doesn't have to be there. That's just the kind of person he is. Good teammate, great teammate. But yeah, I wouldn't expect him to go out there and just face it head on with the media.
Okay.
But I agree. I think 100%. If you feel like you have, and clearly, yeah, he'd earned that right to be the closer, and all of a sudden they bring in some dude and like, it's different. Guys want to close game. You want to have your song playing at the end of the game. You want to get the ball, shaking hands, be at the front of the line at the end of the game. It is different. I can see how that could affect him now. Yeah, he'll get a chance to do that again in Wrigley. So good for him. I like Presley a lot, man. He's a good dude.
The more interesting part of the equation is this. Now that the Astros have saved $8.5-ish million, does that enable a path to where they eventually bring back Alex Bregman? Well, as I mentioned, the Astros had their little fan fest, their get together. Here's their GM, Dana Brown.
We've had some conversation, and I could kind of leave it there. But we've had some conversation, and as I mentioned, an interesting thing is that he's still available. So it's not as if we're not talking about him. So we've had some conversation.
So the door is not shut?
I would say it's cracked.
Don't do crack. Oh, he said it's cracked. All right. It's cracked.
Okay. That was a dad joke.
Yes, it was.
You're actually, let me just stop real quick. You're allowed to make some sort of dad joke when it is your birthday. I thought you were going to do a tip of the cap at the beginning of the show, and you didn't.
To myself?
You threw me off. No, just to anybody. And I was going to say, no, actually, the tip of the cap goes to you, Rosie, but you didn't do it. So I had to stop you there. Okay?
Well, that's very kind.
Everybody comment, leave Rosie a nice little birthday shout out. I don't know how old you are.
Yes, you do.
53.
I was.
54.
I'm 54. Yeah.
Okay.
That's
a good age.
It's perfectly fine. It's perfectly fine. And I always tell my aging family members it's better to celebrate another one than not.
Yes.
So we're winning. Thankfully, healthy. Michelle's healthy. The boys are healthy.
Yeah, you got a good life. We talked about that before the show. You got a great life. You know what? And Michelle, I already knew it was your birthday, obviously. It's in my phone, and we've talked about it. But Michelle reached out to Olivia and was like, make sure Trevor knows. So she's got your back.
That makes me want to cry a little bit. That's very, very sweet.
Everyone loves you, man.
Hey, listen, I am so appreciative. I know we've been doing this it'll be 4 years this season, which has been awesome. Will this be season 5? 1, 2, 3. This will be season 5 of the show. Ridiculous.
Oh, yeah.
But what John Boy Media has allowed me to do, it's really like when you're around young people and your work, it keeps you energized and it's a big deal. Like that used to be me. I was on the air at CNN at age 25. That was pretty young. And people were like, God, you're a baby. Well, now I'm more than twice that age, and I love hanging around people that are literally less than half my age. So I'm always appreciative of it here. Believe me.
I love it. Well, we all love you, Rosie, and I'm in that
it.
same boat with you too. I like the young energy.
I do.
I'm like a vampire. Just suck it out of these kids.
So let's get back to the topic at hand.
Okay. Happy birthday.
With Alex Bregman, if he does not return to Houston, can the Astros be a viable American League contender for the World Series?
I think it changes 100%. Like things change. Now they went and added some dudes to make up for losing him and Tucker, but they're never going to be able to fill those shoes. I mean, just what I talked about with Presley, it's the same thing. He's been on the same team with these guys. These guys are winners, man. They know what it takes. They're like the Chiefs that we just watched tonight. They just get the job done when they need to get the job done. So it's not so easy to just kind of like try to plug somebody into that. Like they're a special part of that cog. So I don't think like I last year I would have said 100% the Astros are going to be in the ALCS. This year, I don't think I'm feeling that way. Doesn't mean they can't make some moves. They can't bring Bregman back. I know this question is about if he's not there, but I think they still have a few tricks up their sleeves. I know they have some money that can still. I believe they talked about going above the luxury tax threshold for the right deal. They're already like kind of like right there. This could be the right deal. But if you're asking me without him, I wouldn't put them. I know the AL soft, but I don't have the same feeling about him. Do you?
No, I don't. Now, here's the thing. They have done a major upgrade at first base with Christian Walker, a guy who, if it hadn't been for that oblique injury, would have had his third straight 30-homer season. Defensively, he's a witch over there at first, and he's major power. Isaac Paredes is going to be really interesting, right? He is the major leaguer right now in the middle of that Kyle Tucker deal. He was great with Tampa in 23. He was great with Tampa in 24, and he got to Chicago and something happened. He just wasn't nearly as good. But I think in this ballpark, plays to his swing, I think he's going to have a really nice year. Now, if they're fortunate enough, whether it's to win the West or be a wild card, my question is, can they replace Tucker and Bregman in October? Alex Bregman has played almost 100 playoff games in an Astros uniform. He's got 19 homers. He's got an OPS right near 800. We know he's good with the glove. He seems to really like the big moment. That's a lot to replace. So even if you get through the regular season, which I think they can, because the American League has disappointed me immensely outside of the Yankees and the A's in terms of off-season moves. For the most part, there's been a few others that I think I'd give passing grades to, but most I think have not. If it were a pass-fail course in terms of off-season transactions, a lot of teams would fail in the American League. And I get it. You're trying to reset yourself financially. You don't want to pay all this big money to free agents, but shit. I mean, it's there for the taking, folks. Like, somebody's got to challenge the Yankees, and I don't know if it's the Astros. And I also wonder a little bit about where they are with their pitching staff. There's some guys locked in, Fromber, Blanco, Brown. There's some other young guys that they're relying on, but we don't know about McCullers. We don't know about Garcia. Those guys won't be back for the beginning of the season. So I think they're in decent shape, but I'm not saying like, oh, yep, they're in it.
Yeah, I don't worry about their pitching whatsoever. I feel like they figure that out. Wesneski comes over from the Cubs. They'll probably turn him into some sort of stud. You know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
I think they always kind of figure that out. We know what they can do at the back end of the bullpen. For me, it's kind of like the lineup falls off. But I also – it also has felt that way for a while, but they've just had that big-time thump at the top of the lineup, and that's gotten them through. And they've been able to turn the lineup over. Now – the lineup's just not as strong. I think that's the biggest takeaway here. And that's not a shock because you talked about Tucker and Bregman are not there anymore. So,
all right. So the Astros had their fan fest. So too did the New York Mets. I think it was called Amazing's Day. Our Jolly Olive was there. We Got Ice was there doing some stuff. So awesome for some of our younger people there at John Boy Media to continue to spread the message out there. The most interesting part of the day, however, was when Steve Cohen, the Mets owner, was on the dais with their president of baseball ops. And this happened.
All right. Personally, this has been an exhausting conversation and negotiation. I mean, Soto was tough. This is worse. I will never say no. There's always the possibility. But the reality is, we're moving forward and, we continue to bring in players. As we continue to, bring in players, the reality is, it becomes harder to fit Pete into what is a very expensive, group of players that we already have. And that's where we are.
He, of course, is talking about free agent first baseman Pete Alonso. Why are you laughing and smiling?
I just think it's really funny because I envision, Steve Cohen, boss. Not too many. Doesn't really have to get questioned necessarily, like, ever in his other line of work. And now he's worth all this money and can do whatever he wants. He buys a baseball team. Now he has to sit in front of reporters, listen to fans tell him like he's not doing his job correctly. I just think it's hilarious. I mean, do you think some days he's like, fuck, what did I get myself into?
No, I don't think so.
I think he likes it too. I think he's a big fan.
think
But like,
so,
I think
too.
there are days where he's like, wow, like this is a lot different than what I was doing before.
And by the way, he didn't tell them to be quiet, like, don't say that. He said, save it for the end. So I think he understood, and he wants his fans to have a voice. I think he wants to be held accountable and all that sort of stuff. If you were a Mets fan, are you good with his answer that he just gave?
Love his answer. That blunt honesty talking about, I don't think we played it. I didn't hear it in the clip. He was just talking about he didn't like the structure of the contract that kept coming back. So like the money is like, okay, I understand that, but I'm sure it was this with an opt-out, this with an opt-out, whatever it is. And he's saying, I don't like the structure. And to be able to go and say that, I think that's refreshing. You and I want owners to stand up in front of the press and the fans at least, twice a year? Can we get twice a year?
Yeah, I want it once at the beginning of the year, spring training, and once at the end of the year. Once your
Let's
season
go three
wraps.
times. Trade deadline. Come on. 1,
Nah,
2, 3. Let's break it up.
Well, that's a possibility. I don't like
Okay.
it when owners get too much in the middle. I understand that they have to sign off on deals when you're talking about big-time financial moves, but the rest of it, and once again, it's their money, so I'm not going to hold them to that standard. But I think that when you're talking about fans, and we have talked about the difference between owning a sports team and owning just any other business in the world because of the emotional attachment that people have in terms of livelihoods and cities and communities and everything else. But continue on with your thoughts.
Well, I know. I just think I enjoyed the answer. I think it was a very honest answer. I also thought there was a little bit of strategy in that answer. You come out, and he didn't seem weak there. Didn't seem like he was losing any leverage. This crowd calling for Pete. He sits down, he puts an answer out there, and by the end of the answer, they're applauding him.
Well,
a bad answer, they start saying, we want Pete again. They didn't do that.
And Scott Boras came back and said, hey, listen, the structure that we present to teams is something that's commensurate to what guys who have done things like Pete Alonso have accomplished in this league. That's what I'm asking for. So that was his retort. What I would say is this, I hate for it to end like this for Pete Alonso in New York. Like, we understand the business is the business, so we get that. But Pete Alonso has been the face of this team for 6 years and has done a remarkable job for the most part answering questions. And I know that there's at least 2 more guys who are probably more popular than him right now. One just signed a contract worth $800 million, and one's got one worth $340 million and had a fantastic year last season in Francisco Lindor. But I'd hate for this to be kind of the culmination of Alonso's time. They should be remembering that home run.
That homer's incredible.
Right?
Yeah, I remember watching it live, yeah.
And talking about contract structures and things of that nature. And all I can imagine is little Pete Alonso sitting here going, oh, is this really the way it's going to go down?
He's probably thinking, you gave $800 million to that dude. You couldn't have just shaved a freaking couple mil for me? That's got to be frustrating. Think about that. You see a guy stroll into your hood and say he got 800 M straight up, no deferrals, and now I can't get my bag.
Wait a second.
That's what he's thinking, dude.
Yeah, you know what he's probably thinking? If he was really offered that contract worth 150 plus, why the hell didn't I take that? That's what he's thinking.
Yeah, that too.
I mean,
there's a lot of thoughts going on through Pete's head right now.
Sure as hell are.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of guys. I mean, there's a lot of guys still out there, Chris. A lot of difference makers still available right now.
Well, let us know down there what in the comments section. Would you like it if your owner came out and said what Steve Cohen said? Love to hear that. I'm just going to say I'm not here to pick on all owners, but I think the White Sox had their fan fest, and Jerry Reinsdorf didn't say a word.
Okay.
Your team just set a futility record in 2024. You don't think your fans deserve to hear from you? I mean, come on.
Where do they even go, man? What do they do?
I don't know, but and some people say, well, what's he going to say? Well, how about some accountability?
Anything.
All they did was release a statement at the end of the year. This has got to change, and we're disappointed. And
it's not hard to get up and say, yeah,
this sure as hell
not great,
isn't.
guys. Hey, guys, I'm with you. This sucks.
Right. There was one other thing that kind of caught my eye and ear from this Amazing's Day. The Mets just signed former Braves left-hander A.J. Minter. And you know how those left-handed relievers can get. They can be a little nutty sometimes. He gave us this zinger.
Mets fans, I mean, these are truly baseball fans. They get baseball, not like the other side of town where those guys.
This man already knows.
Why are you shaking your head on that one?
You get ballsy when you go to these. I've been in these situations. You go to the Twins Fest or you go to Amazing Day or whatever it is, and all that's in front of you are your fans. You could say whatever you want, and they're going to cheer for you. And then you're like, oh man, I want to make them cheer. What's one thing that's going to make them cheer the most? Oh, I'm going to diss the Yankees. Like, he's not really thinking that. He doesn't really think the Yankees have just no brain, bad baseball fans. He doesn't think that. But he wants his fans to like him, and he knows what buttons to press. That's what's happening right now.
See,
and I know a lot of Yankee fans who know ball. I do.
By the way, I love it. I'm all for it. I wish there'd be more shit talking like this. I loved it. Then later that night, a bunch of the Mets go to the Knicks game at MSG, and they put them up on the big board. And what happens? They get booed because it's mostly a Yankees crowd too. So I love that stuff. I'm okay with it. Let's bring more of it. Good. Way to go, AJ.
I don't mind it either. Just know he doesn't really mean it, Yankee fans, okay?
No, but now is he going to have to here's one thing you don't do. Don't apologize. Just wear it. Because I think they play in the Bronx maybe July 4th or something like that. When that happens, just wear it. Go out there.
He's going to wear it.
Give me one of these. Like as he's walking out to the bullpen.
You better do well. You better do well, bro. You better strike some motherfuckers out.
Good. It'll be something else we can talk about. I love it. I love it. Hey, it's a new year. We're all about setting goals and actually hitting them. So what you fuel your body with matters. And that's why I want to talk to you about today's sponsor. It is Huel. It is spelled Huel. Huel is a perfectly balanced meal, taking the guesswork out of healthy eating. There's no prep. There's no cooking. Just grab a Huel for your most inconvenient meals. And it tastes amazing. It's kind of like a milkshake. So you can choose from chocolate or vanilla. Both of those are low in sugar, by the way. It's budget-friendly with high-protein meals under $5. One of my favorites is this one. It is the Black Edition. It's ready to drink. It's got 35 grams of protein, 27 vitamins and minerals, and it's in one handy-dandy bottle. So join the community of Hooligans with this exclusive offer for new customers. It's 15% off plus a free gift with the code today at Huel.com. Once again, that's 15% plus free gift for new customers with the code today at Huel.com. Start your year off strong. Unlock a healthier, easier way to eat with Huel. Nutritionally complete meals in minutes so you can focus on what really matters. All right, we continue on. We told you about Jurickson Profar on Friday signing with the Atlanta Braves. 3 years, $42 million for a guy who had the best season of his career out in San Diego. Sounded like, he met the media over Zoom. Sounded like he enjoyed his time in San Diego, but had some questions with what was going on behind the scenes.
Obviously, the Padres have some issue with the ownership on all that, and it was difficult to go back, but.
Okay, so he says questions with ownership in San Diego. We know what's going on. The widow of Peter Seidler has actually filed a lawsuit against the brothers of Peter Seidler. So against her brothers-in-law. And this thing could work out in arbitration. But back to Profar's comments, how jarring is this, do you think, to San Diego fans to hear it?
I don't think it's jarring. I think they've already heard it. They understand what's going on. They've all read, the lawsuit that came out, whatever the filing. They all read that. They've all read all the articles, written about their team. They understand what's going on. And how much of a did that play into his decision? Probably not that much, but I'm sure when guys say something, I feel like that's a spicy little headline right there. You can kind of run with that. I don't think this will affect the Padres as much as maybe people are thinking it will. And I really don't. I think there has to be some sort of mediation going on. I don't know what's going to happen, how long this lawsuit's going to take. Is it going to completely freeze them from making any moves? I just don't see that. They already cut $90 million of payroll from 23 to 24. Like, they're sitting middle of the pack payroll wise. Like, I just don't see a world where the Padres, with how they're set up and like the investments they've made, they're long-term contracts, but you're paying for like these couple of years right here. If you're taking you're doing irreparable damage to your brand if you let this leak into how the team is constructed, and it just can't come to that. So in my mind, there's going to be some sort of disconnect from, okay, we understand what's going on for control of the team, but let's continue to run the team, run our company, the correct way. Now that I understand they're not going to go out there and sign massive deals because you need ownership to sign off on that, but I still think there's room for Preller to like do what he has to do. I'm not as worried as I think most Padres fans would be for this team.
So I think the worry is that it was in Peter Seidler's DNA to do everything he could to bring a winner to San Diego. And when he got ill again, he wanted to step on the accelerator, so to speak, and speed up the process. It's why he re-upped with Manny Machado the way that he did to take him into his 40s. It's why he gave Xander Bogaerts the deal that he did. So now, how are his brothers going to look at this? Are they going to be much more looking at the balance sheet than Peter Seidler was? Probably. And that's the thing that would scare the hell out of you.
But you have AJ Preller. That's my thing. I look at this roster, and it's not just a bunch of free agents signed. Like, a lot of these guys got traded for. Like, they can continue to do that. I think there are still moves to be made. I think there is still some money to spend.
I don't know about that.
Okay.
I don't know if there's money to spend. What I think is there's still really good players. I think the lineup is still really, really good.
The team is still really good.
The team is very good. The problem comes when inevitably somebody gets hurt. Then who are you replacing them with? The Dodgers, we know who they're replacing them with. We don't know who the Padres are, and that's where it gets a little dicey. And then if you get a couple years down the road and you haven't made enough progress, do you have to start selling off pieces because of the contracts? That's the thing that would scare me. I hope it doesn't come to that.
The interesting thing is, I believe I'm reading this correctly, they have 5 open 40-man roster spots.
God, is that possible? It sounds high.
That's a lot.
That is a lot.
What do you do? What do you do to fill that? There's moves to be made. I'm not giving up on this Padres team.
No, in part because let me tell you, there are few atmospheres that can outdo what they're doing in San Diego on a nightly basis. Really, it's a ton of fun. I want to see them be good. I want to see them be able to challenge the Dodgers, if not during the regular season, and the rest of the team. I still think there's 4 or 5 teams that you could make an argument for to make the World Series in the National League, and I think they're one of them. So I think for the short term, they could be okay. I think somewhere down the road, if that family doesn't get their shit together, then it could be a problem. And I don't want to see that.
Maybe I'm too optimistic. I don't know. Yeah, because I know a lot of the Padres fans are like kind of like in dire straits right now.
Yeah, and I get it.
From the outside looking in, I just feel like it's going to figure itself out. Maybe I'm just
but what have they added this year to make you feel better? Nothing.
Nothing. They've only lost.
Right. And
Tanner Scott, Profar, Higgy.
Yeah, Those are three guys who really
three guys that
contributed.
Contributed a lot, yeah.
All right, latest top 100 prospect. New list came out on MLB.com. A bunch of these guys are going to break camp with the team. Other guys will come up. Other guys will get traded at some point during the 2025 season. It's inevitable. Outside of Roki Sasaki, who landed at number 1 on the list, who are you most interested in seeing this year?
Selfishly, it's Walker Jenkins. Love my guy. He's going to hit bombs in the show for a long time. But I went outside the Twins organization, okay?
Oh, okay. Good.
Another organization that I played with, I'm always fascinated with Rays prospects. And I'm going to gravitate towards the shortstops. And I look at this guy, and from what I'm not a big prospect guy. Everybody knows that. But I look at this guy. I've seen videos. I see what the statistics have been. And then I hear what people have said about him. Carson Williams, shortstop of the future for the Rays. I'm into him. I like the swing. I guess he struck out a little bit too much, up towards like a 30% clip, but it has gone down. The guy obviously has pop, we see right there. But they say he is a Gold Glove shortstop. So he's been kind of consistent throughout his minor league track record.
Holy shit. Look at that air.
I like Gunnar, Bobby, Jackson. These are my guys right here.
Oh.
Okay. I want to be like this guy. So I'm curious to see. Again, it's the things that are said about him more than, I haven't seen him play a ton, right?
No.
But he's big league ready as a shortstop, and he's been very consistent with the bat throughout his minor league career. And I look at that swing, I think there are some things to clean up, but he's got pop. Like, this could be the next young shortstop we're talking about very quickly.
He's the number 9 prospect. I'm going to go with a guy who already had his cup of coffee in the big leagues. Kobe Mayo of the Baltimore Orioles. He checks in as the number 14 prospect overall. Now, his first time in the show was not great, like a lot of kids. 4 for 41. But overall, in almost 400 minor league games, a 922 OPS. He was part of a remarkable Orioles draft class in 2020. Jordan Westberg, Kjerstad, and Mayo. Now, that's phenomenal. Part of the reason I'm interested is because, A, I don't know if he's going to break with the team. B, I don't know how long he's going to be a Baltimore Oriole. They are one of the teams that I have, for the last few years, been begging to ship some guys somewhere. And I think that he can be the centerpiece of a major trade if they want to go get an arm to put at the top of their rotation somewhere. So I think he's fascinating on a couple of fronts, whether he stays or whether he goes. And that's the sort of guy I like to follow, because I always talk about these prospects. Part of the reason you count how many guys in the top 100 your team has is because you want to know which guys you can hang on to, which guys you're willing to deal. That's part of the fun part of being a baseball fan, I think. So there you go.
6'5", 230, same high school as Rizzo, Luzardo, Matt Fox. That's a blast for the past for Twins fans.
Matt Fox.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. All right, so there you go. Last thing before we get out of here. The 11-year-old kid who pulled the Paul Skenes 1-1 card is taking it to auction. Now, you remember, he turned down an offer from the Pirates, which included, among other things, season tickets behind home plate at the Pirates game for 30 years, a Skenes meet and greet, a couple of Skenes jersey, and a meet and greet where you get to hang out with Livy Dunn. And he said, I'm good. I appreciate you, but I'm taking it to auction. In your opinion, would you say, what was this kid thinking? Or he's got some guts?
No, he's doing the right thing, Chris. Get that thing to auction right now. He's from LA. He doesn't really care about the Pirates. I'm sure he likes Paul Skenes. I'm sure he's a great pitcher. I'm sure he knows that. Here's the thing. I think the Pirates already said, hey, we'll take care of you anyway. Don't worry about it. So, double time.
Did come out and say. He said,
way to go.
Yeah.
First of all, hey, Pirates. Bob Nutting. You did something that we can cheer for. Yeah. All right, man. Chris, let me tell you about this, okay?
Yeah.
So one day I said, Teddy, let's go to the card store. Let's go get some packs. We're going to open some packs up. Little father-son bonding. I wanted to get in. I said, let me get these debut patches. Let me get in the chase. And I said, hey, can I get a box of that whatever the brand is? And I said, the guy goes, I don't have a box, but we have open packs right here. This one's pretty much a full box. there was 10 packs left. And I think the full case is like 12. I said, oh, give me those 10 packs. And I go, how much is it? He said $700.
$700?
They were $70 a pack, Chris. And I said, we're okay. But maybe it came from my card shop because it's from LA. I don't know anything about this. Maybe that could have been me and Teddy making that decision.
Yo,
but I wasn't
man.
willing to pay. I wasn't willing to pay $700 for a box of cards.
Holy smokes.
Yeah, dude, this is
$700 for not even a full box? Well,
It
this
was
kid ended up
10 packs, $70 a pack.
He got it for Christmas, I believe, is what I read. And so he's been bugging his parents for a box. He got a box, ended up pulling this one, going nuts. Now, apparently, the Skenes card is going to be sold at the Fanatics Collection March premiere auction. I apologize. I don't know a ton about this stuff, so I'm kind of learning along with you. All of the Fanatics collectors' proceeds from this card will be donated directly to the Los Angeles Fire Relief Funds. So
awesome.
that's the best news out of this whole thing. That is some great news.
This company is doing the right thing. I love this. What are we doing here? All right.
So if you're, by the way, if you're the kid, don't you also hold out for meeting Livy Dunn? Or if you're
I can't talk
you
about.
don't?
I'm not allowed to talk about Livy Dunn anymore. We put a social clip out of me talking about Paul Skenes,
you're right.
and I'm getting roasted. I think it's pertinent to talk about. Like, come on, like you don't think an athlete's ever been distracted before? All I was saying is he doesn't seem like he's distracted. It's a good thing, and people are they're roasting me. Why are you worried about a 22-year-old's relationship? I'm not.
No,
I'm just an observation. I once was a young kid, and like whatever. I'm out. I'm not talking about her.
Are you distracted now? Are you good?
I'm not, because you know where I'm going tomorrow.
Yeah, I do. Go have some fun. All right, that'll do it for us. We appreciate everybody hanging out. Always making the off-season shows fun. We're not that far away from pitchers and catches. So that's good.
Get yourself ready, C. Rosie.
I'm getting in the best shape of my life, which is a lie, but I figured I'd throw that one out there. All right, everybody. Thanks for hanging out with us. For our one-of-a-kind producer, Dan Rourke, the uber-talented and well-traveled Trevor Plouffe, I am Chris Rose. We will see you later this week on Baseball Today.